Today we'll be discussing 15 little-known facts about Martin Luther King Jr. Hi, you're in class with Dr. T. Martin Luther King Jr., known globally as a leading figure in the civil rights movement, was more than a dreamer with a powerful oratory style. Behind his well-documented achievements lie fascinating and often overlooked facts that reveal his intellectual depth, political nuance, and personal complexities. This video uncovers 15 lesser-known aspects of King's life, examining his relationships, politics, spiritual influences, and the struggles he faced both personally and professionally. Martin Luther King Jr. was not born with the name we know him by today. His birth name was actually Michael King Jr., named after his father. However, after a visit to Germany, his father, Michael King Sr., was so moved by the story of Protestant Reformation leader Martin Luther that he changed both his and his son's name to Martin Luther King. While Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to fighting poverty and inequality, he came from a relatively affluent family. His father was a prominent pastor and activist, providing King with educational and social opportunities not readily available to many African Americans of the time. This background gave him access to prominent networks and helped shape his leadership role. He grew up in a large, comfortable house, access to travel, and to attend Morehouse College, Rosa Seminary, and gained a PhD at Boston University without financial concern. Did you know that Martin Luther King was academically gifted, graduating from high school at the young age of 15? His quick progress in school reflected his intellectual abilities and set him on an accelerated path to higher education, laying the foundation for his future role as a leader and thinker. King attended Rosa Theological Seminary in Chester, Pennsylvania, graduating at 22. He went on to earn a PhD in systematic theology from Boston University by the age of 25, showcasing his deep commitment to religious and intellectual pursuits. Did you know that Martin Luther King lost love to racial bias? Before meeting Coretta Scott, Martin Luther King fell in love with a white woman during his time at Rosa Seminary. However, his father disapproved of the relationship, pressuring him to end it due to the potential social and political repercussions. This experience underscored the racial barriers that even King, a prominent figure in racial justice, faced personally. King's father reportedly wished for him to marry a woman named Mattie Wilder Dobbs, a talented and promising woman who later became an internationally renowned opera singer. Despite this preference, King followed his heart and married Coretta Scott. Coretta Scott King was not only King's spouse, but also a vital intellectual partner and advisor, a skilled organizer and musician. Coretta was deeply committed to social justice, providing King with counsel on various issues. Her insights shaped his approach to civil rights, influencing key decisions and strengthening his resolve. Did you know that Bayard Rustin, a close advisor to Martin Luther King, was a key figure in organizing the 1963 March on Washington and one of the most important strategists of the civil rights movement? Rustin, however, faced prejudice due to his homosexuality and past associations with communism. While King valued Rustin's strategic brilliance, he kept their association discreet to protect the movement's image amidst the scrutiny of the Cold War era. Did you know that Martin Luther King rejected both Soviet-style communism and American capitalism? Instead, he advocated for a form of social democracy, focusing on wealth redistribution, economic justice, and public welfare. He argued that a fair society must address structural economic inequalities, echoing the values of economic democracy rather than unchecked capitalism. King's political vision included support for universal basic income and job guarantees, proposing these as fundamental rights for all Americans. He believed that economic stability and access to resources were essential for true equality and social justice, influencing contemporary discussions on economic rights. King, alongside Bayard Rustin and A. Philip Randolph, proposed the Freedom Budget, a document outlining a bold plan to eradicate poverty in the United States. The budget aimed to provide full employment, a guaranteed income, and equitable access to housing and health care, emphasizing economic reforms as a pathway to justice. Did you know that Martin Luther King opposed the Vietnam War? His opposition to the Vietnam War was rooted in his belief that excessive military spending diverted resources from social programs. He argued that the war undermined the fight against poverty, calling it a moral failure. His stance drew backlash and alienated some allies, reflecting the contentious nature of his commitment to peace and social equity. By the late 1960s, King's outspoken views on poverty and the Vietnam War made him deeply unpopular among many Americans. Polls at that time showed a marked decline in his support, and he faced criticism from across the political spectrum, a testament to the radical and challenging nature of his evolving message. Martin Luther King's activism was shaped by a progressive, justice oriented Christianity and the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, which he studied deeply. He encountered Gandhi's principles of nonviolence during a trip to India, integrating these ideas into his Christian values to develop a framework for peaceful resistance that he used throughout his career. Did you know that Martin Luther King's relationship with President Lyndon B. Johnson, aka LBJ, was marked by both collaboration and tension? While they worked together on the Civil Rights Act, their alliance fractured over King's stance on the Vietnam War. Similarly, King had a complicated relationship with President John F. Kennedy and Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, who were supportive of civil rights, but initially cautious about aggressive federal intervention. The Kennedys, however, eventually grew to be more aligned with King's vision, recognizing the urgent need for change. These lesser-known facts about Martin Luther King Jr. reveal the depth of his character and the complexity of his journey. More than a figure of nonviolent resistance, King was a thinker, a strategist, and a passionate advocate for justice across racial, economic, and political lines. His legacy remains a powerful reminder of the interconnectedness of social justice struggles and the courage required to challenge deeply rooted systems of oppression. Thank you. Please like, please share, and smash that bell.